Hey, it's Ian Flanagan. We're still in Module 3, Making Offers. And on this video, I just want to talk a little bit about making cash offers and the formula for cash offers. And the reason why I have this in here is because I feel it's important that everyone knows how to calculate a cash offer. Because every once in a while, you're going to come across a property that's just really beat up. And it's just good to have this strategy in place. Regardless if you're just going to assign this contract to somebody or if you're going to finance it. It's just a good formula to get to a number, and it's a calculated one as well. So the formula for cash offer is 70% of the after repaired value minus the cost of repairs, and that equals your maximum allowable offer on an ugly house. So for this example, I'm just going to use $100,000 just so the numbers are round and to make it simple. But this will be the formula that you follow regardless of the price of the property. So $100,000, and we're going to minus 70%, and that's, so you take $100,000 and you multiply it by 0.70, and that gets you at $70,000. And then you subtract the repair cost, which in this example is $15,000. And an easy way to get a ballpark, which we've already gone over, is just to get an $18 a foot times the square foot of the property. So this case, which would be a kind of a smaller one, about a little over 800 feet. And then that lands you at your $55,000. So you have $100,000 times 0.70 minus $15,000, and that gets you at $55,000. So the reason why you want to make your maximum allowable offer at 50 is so that you have a $5,000 spread. So I would start this offer somewhere around $42,000, and that gives me about an $8,000 window to negotiate. So guys, a cash buyer will expect to pay around $55,000 for this property. So if you start your offer at 42, you know you have a pretty big window to move, to go up to try to negotiate and get this property under contract somewhere under 50, hopefully. But you don't want to go necessarily over 50 because the margins start to get squeezed out and it might be a little bit harder for you to sell. But one thing to keep in mind also are buy and hold investors, guys that are buying them for rental properties and stuff like that. They'll pay more than an investor that will buy it, fix it, and sell it retail. So keep that in mind as well. So once again, this is just a formula for cash offer. 70% of the ARV minus the cost of repairs equals your maximum allowable offer on ugly houses. And over here on this next page, we're going to talk a little bit about the agreements needed for cash offers. Really, the only agreement you need to put this property under contract is a purchase and sale agreement. And you want to bind that with a small consideration if you're working with private sellers of something like $10 at the time that you sign the contract. And that legally binds the contract between two parties. So if you're not represented by a real estate agent and they don't have their license and all that, so this is the way that you do it. I like to write as small as earnest money deposits as possible. But also you can send a letter of intent, an LOI. You can send that over before you go under contract. And when you're working with a lot of private sellers, it's easier just to send them an LOI rather than send them a big long contract. So it's just a lot less abrasive sending an LOI. You can actually send them your offer on a yellow piece of paper, and structure 3 different offers and say circle 1 and then go to them with the contract. But moving down here, if these houses are older, they're older than 76, I think it's either 76, 77, you'll definitely need to get a lead-based paint addendum signed. If you're making offers on the MLS, you're most likely going to need a proof of funds letter. And copies of earnest deposit and option fee checks. I make a lot of offers on the MLS, and a lot of times these agents want to see this information. So what I do with my copies of earnest money deposit and option fees, I just take 2 checks out of my checkbook, I lay it on my printer, I make 20 copies of those 2 checks, and then I put the checks back in my checkbook. And as I'm making offers, I just write on top of those copies And when you write it with black ink, once you scan it and send it over, you can't tell the difference if that was a copy of a check or written on top of a piece of paper. So that's just something that I do so I don't burn through a lot of my checks. And if you're making offers on REOs, just have an agent do it for you. If you are a licensed agent, then you understand when you get in the back office of the MLS, there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be filled out and signed. And if you don't have an agent doing that for you, then it's really difficult to get an offer over on an REO, because they won't even look at your offer unless the entire contracts and addendums are signed. A lot of time they have to have them in blue ink, like if you're buying HUD properties. The executed contracts have to be signed in blue ink. They will not allow any DocuSign, any online digital sign. So, but the bottom line is, you just want to get offers over to folks. And if you're working with private sellers, you can just send them just a one sheet of paper LOI with your offer on there. And then once they accept your offer, then you can show up with a filled out purchase and sale agreement, lead-based paint addendum. You're not going to need much more than that. Once you send all the documents to the title company, if there's anything you're missing, the title agent's going to let you know to get those signed. So down here at the bottom, your resource center has a ton of agreements in it. They do not have state contracts. These are just private contracts that you can use with private sellers. But the easiest way to find a state-approved contract for your state is to literally go to Google and type in your state and real estate commission. And in my market, I'm in Texas, so down here at the bottom, this is the actual link to get to the state, the Texas Real Estate Commission. So you can see that URL there, www.trec.state.tx.us, and that link will send you directly to their page, and you can just click on contracts and addendums, and that page pops up and you can print them right off the internet. So there's tons of sources that you can get these contracts from, that you have them in your resource center. You can Google your state and the Real Estate Commission, and you can print them off the website online. And like I said, I just wanted to make sure that you guys understand how to calculate a cash offer, because I just believe it's important to understand that. Because not every single house is going to fall into your terms category and your purchase and sale criteria. So it's just to understand, to have another strategy in place. All right, guys, I'll see you on the next video.